Hi everybody, and welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. I hope you enjoy the content and do look back at some of the previous videos that I've posted. Now, over the past few years, I haven't used one particular lens too much. It's what's often referred to as a kit lens. It's what I started with when I bought my first DSLR, my Canon 40D. And it's the 18 to 55 millimeter. I think part of the reason for that is that after acquiring my 50 millimeter prime, which opens up to an aperture of 1.8, and with its compact size on the camera, no need to zoom in and out, and just the look and feel of what I can take with that, I tend to use it for street photography around f2.8 so that I get my subject in focus and then the shallow depth of field depending on distance, of course. So I've kind of, I say, neglected, not used this lens too much. It's one that I would use if I was doing landscapes, but definitely over the past few months, with the amount of wet weather we've been having, that's not been really an option. And you've seen in previous videos that I've actually turned to my phone to do some street photography at a local level in Leighton Buzzard. I think one of the areas that I got stuck on with this compared to the 50 millimeter opening to a wider aperture and the shallow depth of field is that this starts at f3.5, and depending on if you use the zoom, if you zoom out to 55 millimeter, then you're at f5.6. And that didn't give me the look and feel that I was looking for the type of photography I was moving into. However, I did recently, through the ever-present brain fog that I struggle with my fibromyalgia, have a moment where there was a little bit of clarity that is possibly, well, probably, should I say, giving me the opportunity to go out and shoot with this more often. And that's after watching some of the other photographers on YouTube and seeing them shoot at focal lengths like 28 millimeters and 35 millimeters for street photography. Now, I have in the past used this for shooting from the hip. Once you have lenses for a while, you get used to what they're going to capture at what settings. And if I'm shooting from the hip, for example, walking through London on a day out, I have had it at 18 millimeters and shooting wide. I know I get plenty in the frame. And then if I want to, I crop those afterwards. However, my cameras, my Canon DSLRs, my 400D and my 40D, are crop sensors, and that means they have a factor of I believe it's 1.62 to multiply the focal length on any given lens, which gives a full frame equivalent. So 18 millimeter on this is the equivalent to 28, near enough to 29 millimeters. So now thinking of this lens as a 28, 29 millimeter equivalent and ideal focal length for wider street scenes than my 50 millimeter lens will give me, I'll go back to the thing I mentioned about aperture earlier. If I'm shooting from the hip, what you can't do is know where your focal point's going to be. You can set all the focal points so it's just a general blast and hope that you get something in focus. However, another common street photography practice is to set at an aperture which you know is going to have pretty much everything sharp in the image, have a nice depth of field. So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to be shooting at f8 probably on this to make sure that I've got enough light coming in as well. Not being the fastest lens, but f8, closing down the aperture a bit, there'll be less light coming in. So if I'm shooting at f8, maybe to f11, depending on how bright the day is, then it doesn't matter about the aperture, the widest aperture on this lens at all. And I've got another lens that will be in my arsenal. It generally is in my bag anyway. Even if I'm shooting with my 50, I have this as a backup, and vice versa. If I'm shooting with this, I would always have my 50 just in case. And I have had a few of these fail on me over the years, not in the past few years because not getting used much, but in the past I have had them fail. But they're not expensive to replace. They're available everywhere, particularly if you're not like me, not bothered about image stabilization and that sort of thing. This doesn't have image stabilization. None of my lenses do, and none of my bodies do because of how old they are. So with that in mind, 18 millimeters, equivalent of 28, 29, shooting at f8, as long as I've got enough light, I know pretty much what I'm going to get. So that has got me rethinking about the potential of this lens. It can be quite easy to get, I believe it's called GAS, gear acquisition syndrome, and think seeing other people online testing and reviewing new lenses that are open to wider apertures, 1.2, 1.4, 1.8 and that sort of thing. But when you're on a very small budget for your photography, as I am, and using kit which is a lot older, you have to think about how you can adapt. And I enjoy that. I like the images that I can produce with my kit. I know my kit well, and I know what I can do with it compared to others who have got the latest model cameras, mirrorless, that have got so much in there that's not being used. Even I'm not using half of what's in my camera, but I've got it set in a way that depending on where I'm shooting and what I'm shooting, I know what look and feel I want to go for in camera, even though I might change that when I come to processing. Anyway, that's my thoughts on this. So I'm going to talk you through a little shoot that I did while we were visiting my parents over the New Year period, when we took them for a day out to the Norfolk coast and the town of Hunstanton. Another thing I used to do, but not so much in recent years, is shoot in monochrome. By this, I mean selecting the monochrome preset in camera so that I can see how the images look in live view on the back of the camera. So I also did this for our walk along Hunstanton Promenade. As I still shoot in RAW, I still have full image detail and colour available. However, it's nice to see a version of what I have in mind for the shoot as I'm going. So we took a walk on New Year's Eve along Hunstanton Promenade, walked to one end and then walked back again to get some lunch and a coffee. I used aperture priority and auto ISO, letting the camera decide the shutter speed, and as it was such a clear, bright day, that would be more than fast enough on my camera. It was windy and absolutely freezing. My fingers hurt from holding the camera in the cold, even with 2 pairs of gloves on. Being with my parents, we were chatting as we walked, so there's no footage. But I was shooting from the hip for most of the shots, as we wanted to keep moving to stay warmer, sometimes stopping to grab a shot, and you'll probably be able to tell which shots are which. Before we then went for a well-deserved full English breakfast and a large decaf latte at the other end. Well, at least that was my choice. It's not often that I get to go to the seaside. Where we live in Leighton Buzzard in Bedfordshire, where the county is double landlocked, we're near the centre of England. So visiting my parents at the moment is the biggest opportunity I get to go to the coast and shoot something different to the countryside and streets that I have nearby. However, as much as I like the monochrome images, and I'm really happy with what I've shot and how they've come out, achieving the results that I was looking for, I was curious as to how some of them might look in colour, just to give me some ideas for when I'm back at that sort of location in the future. So what I'm going to share with you here is a short selection of some images. I'm going to put the black and white colour and then back to black and white here for you so you can see the comparison. And perhaps you can let me know what you think, which ones you prefer. What I've done is use the Kodachrome 64 preset that's available in Darktable, the raw image processing software that I use, and added a orange and teal look for the shadows and highlights respectively. So I hope you like them. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and whether black and white is your preference, which was a friend's preference when I showed them some the other day, or whether colour is more your thing, and whether you think both work. I hope this video made sense. I've kind of got a script here in front of me that you might see me glancing at, just because of the brain fog, just to give me some pointers, although I try and speak naturally and just use that as a prompt. If you've enjoyed it, do please give us a like, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. It helps you see many future videos that come up, and it also helps with the channel being recognised. If you've made it this far, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video.